All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are exploring Hinduism, which is actually the world's oldest living religion. We're going to break down its core ideas, take a look at its vibrant practices, and see how this ancient tradition is making its way in the modern world.
So, to get started, I've actually got a question for you. What do you think connects the mind-bending reality of the Matrix, the cosmic power of the Force in Star Wars, and, believe it or not, the revolutionary mathematical concept of zero? It sounds random, I know, but there's a thread.
And the answer is, they all pull from the incredibly deep well of Hindu philosophy. Seriously. From the idea of an illusory world, or Maya, in the Matrix, to the Force being a kind of cinematic version of Shakti, or cosmic energy, these huge modern stories are tapping into some really ancient wisdom.
And that gets to a really key point. Hinduism isn't just a religion in the way many of us might think of one. It's less a single rule book and much more like a diverse, sprawling family of traditions and philosophies that have been growing and changing for thousands of years.
In fact, a lot of followers call it Sanatana Dharma. That translates to the eternal way or the eternal truth. And that name really gets to the heart of it, this idea that it holds these timeless, universal truths for everyone. You know, unlike many other major religions, there's no single founder, no one big moment where it all started. It's ancient.
And today, we're talking about a massive global faith. It's the third largest in the world, with more than 1.2 billion people who follow it. The huge majority, about 95%, live in India, where its roots go deepest, but you'll find thriving communities all over the planet.
So what's at the heart of this eternal way? What's the philosophical engine that drives it all? Well, it's built around a few core concepts that are all deeply connected. And understanding this great cosmic cycle is really the key to getting the Hindu worldview.
Okay, so right at the center of everything, you have samsara. This is the big one, the endless cycle of life, death, and reincarnation. The idea is that the soul is on this continuous journey, living countless lifetimes, maybe in many different forms. It's the fundamental state of being, but, and this is important, it's not the final destination.
So you might be asking, what keeps this big wheel of samsara spinning? Well, that would be karma. And karma is a word we hear a lot, but at its core, it's the universal law of cause and effect. It means that every single action, every word, even every thought, creates a ripple that shapes your future, not just in this life, but in the ones to come. It's a pretty profound idea about personal responsibility.
Okay, so if you're in this cycle, how are you supposed to navigate it? The answer is dharma. Think of dharma as your personal duty, your ethical compass. It's about living the right way, fulfilling your responsibilities, and doing your part to uphold the cosmic and social order of things.
And all of this leads to the ultimate goal, the way out of the cycle. It's called moksha. Moksha is liberation. It's breaking free from samsara, ending the cycle of rebirth, and finally uniting the individual soul with the ultimate divine reality. So if you put it all together, samsara is the cycle, karma is the law that powers it, dharma is the path you walk, and moksha is the goal you're striving for.
Now, this idea of a divine reality is, well, it's fascinatingly complex in Hinduism. It's not a simple question of, is there one God or are there many gods? The truth is way more nuanced and, honestly, way more interesting than that.
So here's this beautiful paradox right at the heart of Hindu theology. At the highest level, there's a belief in Brahman, a single, supreme, formless reality that is in everything but is totally beyond human understanding. But, and here's the cool part, this one single truth shows up in countless forms. We're talking millions of gods and goddesses, and each one represents a different aspect, a different facet of that one ultimate reality. It's why you can see Hinduism as both monotheistic and polytheistic all at the same time.
Probably the most well-known of these divine forms is the Trimurti, the Hindu Trinity. This includes Brahma, the creator, and you got to be careful not to confuse him with Brahman, the ultimate reality. Then you have Vishnu, the protector, and Shiva, the destroyer and recreator. Together, they represent the great cosmic cycle of creation, preservation, and dissolution.
All this wisdom is captured in a huge library of sacred texts, and they're generally split into two main types. First, you have Shruti, which means what is heard. These are considered to be divinely revealed, like a direct download from the cosmos. Think of the ancient Vedas. Then you have Smriti, which means what is remembered. These have human authors and include incredible epic poems like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which itself contains the super famous Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so we've got all this big picture philosophy.
which is amazing, but what does it actually look like day to day? How do these profound ideas translate into a lived faith? Let's take a look.
For many Hindus, a cornerstone of their practice is daily worship, or puja. This can happen at a grand temple or just a small shrine at home. And what's really beautiful about it is that it's designed to be a full sensory experience. You're engaging your sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing to connect with the divine. It's about engaging your whole self.
Guiding all of this is a powerful ethical principle, ahimsa, or non-violence. This idea of causing no harm is a direct expression of one's dharma, and it's believed to create good karma. And it's not just about not physically hurting someone, it extends to your words and even your thoughts. This deep respect for all life is why so many Hindus choose to be vegetarian.
And of course, you can't talk about Hinduism in practice without mentioning the incredible festivals. Two of the most famous are Diwali, the absolutely beautiful festival of lights, which celebrates the victory of good over evil, and Holi, the wild, joyful festival of colors that welcomes spring with a bang.
Now you might be thinking this all sounds, well, ancient, and it is, but Hinduism is absolutely not a museum piece. It's a living, breathing tradition that has given so much to the world and continues to evolve and wrestle with some really complex modern challenges.
And its historical contributions are just staggering. I mean, remember that little thing I mentioned at the start, the number 0? Yeah, that came from Hindu civilization. So did one of the world's very first universities, and incredibly detailed ancient texts on surgery. The list just goes on and on.
Now, look, we can't have an honest conversation about Hinduism without talking about something really complex, the historical caste system. This was a rigid social structure that you were born into. And while it was officially banned in India back in 1947, its legacy, well, it definitely lingers. It remains a very difficult and deeply debated issue, both within the faith and in the wider society.
Another modern challenge, and one you might see in the headlines, is the rise of Hindu nationalism, which is also known as Hindutva. This is a political ideology that has really sparked a major internal conversation among Hindus themselves. It's created a lot of debate as people try to figure out the relationship between their faith and a political agenda, and where that line between religion and ideology should be drawn.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? This eternal way has survived and adapted for thousands of years. So the question for today is, how will its profound ancient wisdom be used to navigate these modern challenges and help create a more just and equitable future for all of us? Thanks for exploring this with me today.